Good morning. We left our motel this morning at about 7:30 Eastern Time. Rode to the west and then a little bit south, just entering Menominee, Michigan. Menominee is on the border with Wisconsin. We're going to cross the river down here and go into Marinette, Wisconsin. Anyway, we left at 7:30, drove for about an hour, stopped for breakfast at a little town back here called Stevenson at 7:30 Central Time. So I figure that's a free hour for me. We've got about 2.5 hours to home. Here's a bridge. So I'm guessing the other side will be back in Wisconsin. Yep. Lake Michigan Circle Tour, it says. I think the actual river is up here a ways yet. Look at, they build those ships there. That's those littoral combat ships that they're making for the Navy. Marinette, Wisconsin welcomes you, 10,968. Back there? A bald eagle, I'll be darned. Sure. Pretty town. Never been here. I don't think so. Boy. Kind of a pretty town. Okay, so we'll move away from the lake now. And head back to central Wisconsin. We're headed to South 22. Well, we're on the home stretch now. We probably have 30 miles to go till we get home, and I thought I'd make some general observations. Regarding the trip itself, fantastic. We got very lucky with the weather. One rainstorm caught us. Other than that, it's very nice. We had some high winds yesterday, day 9. That bumped us around a little bit, but on the Spider you don't hardly even notice, and you don't need to worry about it. With regard to the roads, we'll have about 1,600 miles on this trip. We went through Wisconsin, Minnesota, Ontario, and Upper Michigan. By far the worst roads were in Wisconsin. This has been a pet peeve of mine for a long time, but our government chooses not to raise any taxes to get more money to go toward our roads, and it's very irritating. And I have to believe that visitors to this state, and we depend a lot on tourism, visitors to this state have to notice. There's a few sandhill cranes up there. They have to notice that these roads are not well maintained, and it's a shame. The roads in Canada were especially good, perhaps because they have less traffic. One thing we noticed up there is we didn't encounter nearly as much traffic as we do normally in Wisconsin. In Canada, at least along the North Shore, wherever there was an opportunity for a view of the lake, something scenic, there were overlooks that you could pull off and stop and get a good chance to take a look at it. So you don't have to worry about pulling over on the side of the road or missing something, because they will put an overlook there for you to stop and take pictures. That also provides convenient places to, if you're on a motorcycle, to perhaps slip on a sweatshirt or take one off or whatever. Another thing we noticed in Canada, going through many small towns, was that unlike Wisconsin, where you find a tavern, bar, or saloon on just about every block, we didn't notice any tavern, bars, or saloons in the towns in Canada. Found that kind of interesting. I'm sure they're there. Perhaps I just missed them, but we didn't notice them. You don't need cash, Canadian money, or cash in Canada. They take credit cards at just about every place you're going to stop. And that includes the state parks, provincial parks, national parks. Just about every place we stopped. We used almost no cash on this trip. I haven't calculated the gas mileage on this trip yet. It appeared to me that we were using approximately 35 miles to the gallon in American terms. And I went the speed limit the entire trip. I'll be calculating the gasoline costs and the fuel mileage after we get home, and I'll put that up on our video, but that is about the only place I noticed we were hauling a trailer. And again, that trailer is supposed to weigh about 200 pounds, and I'm sure we put another 150 inside of it. But the Spider had absolutely no issues with that trailer. You don't even know it's there. As long as you're careful in tight spots, just like towing any trailer, you'll be fine. We normally, if Linda and I are riding two up, we normally get between 38, 40, somewhere right around there. And so we'll see how it affects that. I'm expecting we're going to see about 35 and maybe a little less when we got into the UP, because the speed limits in Canada that we were following were primarily 55 miles an hour, 90 kilometers an hour. I think that equates pretty well. And in the United States, we did get on some freeways, and in Michigan we did run 75, some we ran 65 some, and so it lowered our overall gas mileage down to about 32 for a day or so there. Okay, we had to go through Manawa there and get around some traffic. Let's get back to the observations. Going into Canada, very simple. We had no traffic that day. There were half a dozen questions that we were asked. We handed over our passports. They took a look at that. Checked out our personal information, I'm sure, on the computer, and that was it. On we went. Coming back into the United States in Sault Ste. Marie, same thing. The border agent asked us a few questions. Where have you been? Where are you going? Where are you coming from? Are you carrying alcohol, guns, tobacco? I forget everything. And that was basically it. She said, welcome home, and off we went. The people that we met along the way, for I think everyone, was very friendly. And of course many of them were in the hospitality or service industry, so you would expect that to be the case. But we just thought that the Canada people especially were very nice and accommodating. As far as the motels, we had no problem up until this last one. We got into a Super 8 here in Escanaba that the place was old. It was clean, but the bed's too hard for Linda. She didn't sleep well. Otherwise, we had no problems in the motels. As far as the Spider goes, I was very happy with our cameras. GPS mounts up here, everything, the RAM mounts, can't say enough about them. Gave me no trouble at all. I use my iPhone for GPS. We have Verizon for service. I paid $5 a day for the Canada portion of our trip. I forget what they call the plan, but it allowed us to continue to use our data plan from the US in Canada, as well as your minutes for talking and texting and that stuff. All the motels had Wi-Fi, good Wi-Fi for the most part. The two small motels we stayed at were both very nice, very clean, had everything you need. You could back the trailer right up to the door, unload your stuff. The other ones, we had to load our stuff onto carts or carry it in through the lobby and up stairs perhaps, or down hallways. So we kind of like the ones where you can just back right up to the door